From ABC, this is World News Tonight, with Max Robinson at the National Desk in Chicago, Steve Bell substituting for the vacationing Peter Jennings in London, and from our desk in Washington, Frank Reynolds.
Good evening. Again tonight, a crisis in Poland. Not this time because of threats from Moscow, but because of an action by the government in war.
As well as a rare look inside a guerrilla camp in El Salvador, and many of Hollywood's stars pay their final respects to actress Natalie Wood.
State Department correspondent David Enser reports tonight that regardless of what may be happening at the OAS meeting, the United States is still determined to keep the government of El Salvador from being a continuing struggle in that country. Here is
two new uses for two old drugs. One is vitamin E, whose new use is for premature babies, often in need of extra oxygen to stay alive. But that extra oxygen can cause blindness. Now doctors say high doses of vitamin E just after birth can help prevent such blindness. The other drug is propranolol, normally used to treat heart patients. Now doctors say it also works to prevent bleeding in patients with cirrhosis of the liver. The ability of modern medicine to save lives brings with it a new set of problems. As patients survive longer, many are questioning the conditions under which they simply stay alive. And as Rita Sands explains in the special assignment report, some are demanding the right to die.
William Foster wants to die. Terminally ill with a neurological disease, paralyzed from the neck down, he has survived this way for nearly a year.
I want to end the quality of my life's existence.
William Foster wants to die, but he can't because no one will help him disconnect the respirator. His wife won't for religious reasons.
And she feels that it's wrong. To do what I want to do.
The hospital won't for legal reasons. While it recognizes the patient's right to refuse treatment, it's afraid of being sued as an accomplice to suicide. A son, Bernard, has emotional reasons for wanting his father to stay alive.
I didn't want him to die because I felt that there may be some kind of hope or something that he'd get well.
Mr. Foster needed a lawyer to fight for his right to die.
Mr. Foster has a fatal disease. He's artificially being kept alive. It's his disease, and he ought to be allowed to die of it.
Foster's lawyer cites as a precedent a similar case in Florida. A 73-year-old mentally alert but terminally ill patient wanted to end his life against his family's wishes. The judge found in favor of the patient's wishes and ordered the respirator removed. But the attending physician in that case, Marshall Brummer, disagreed, believing that a doctor's job is to keep death away from the living.
To take away that last bit of hope is wrong, and it's a betrayal of trust. Hospitals are not prisons, and doctors are not wardens. If that patient really, truly wants to die, that patient has the right to go home.
But many patients are confined to their hospital beds. Does this loss of freedom of movement, then, mean a loss of freedom of choice? William Foster's mind has made the decision to die. But because others control his body, others are deciding his fate in a heated legal battle. The hospital is demanding a court order to discontinue treatment. The wife and one son of a family divided on the issue have hired their own lawyer to keep Foster alive.
And sometimes it takes somebody who's not emotionally involved, who's objective, to make a decision. And perhaps it's just as well.
Even if it's against his wishes?
Certainly if it's against his wishes.
The legal battle stretched on for 2 months, and a federal judge eventually found in favor of Mr. Foster's wish that his respirator be disconnected. But the court delayed implementing the order, and William Foster died, still on the machine he sought to be free of.
Good morning. May I help you?
People worried that a nightmare like Mr. Foster's may one day become their own are signing living wills, which carry a message to their doctor, family, and friends that their life shall not be artificially prolonged against their wishes. Reflecting this growing concern is a recent poll which shows that the vast majority of Americans believe that a terminally ill patient has the right to tell his doctor to let him die. And legislators are responding to this change in attitude. 11 states now have specific statutes that recognize living wills as binding legal documents and protect the doctors who comply from the threat of liability. Why all this legislative action and concern about a subject we'd really prefer to ignore? Edwin Schneidman studies death and dying.
We live in a death-laden century. We talk about megadeath and overkill. Along with this, a burgeoning in the scientific aspects of medicine, kind of aseptic, somewhat impersonal medical centers where people come to die. So there's an urgency to seek an appropriate death for each individual, a better death.
A better death for some is dying by one's own hand. Suicide is now being considered by a growing number of terminally ill Americans as a reasonable solution. That story tomorrow night. Rita Sands, ABC News, New York.
Steve Bell substituting for the vacationing Peter Jennings in London. And from our desk in Washington, Frank Reynolds.
Good evening. If ever